Today I wanted to do a follow-up video of the SIG P320X Compact. I've had this particular handgun 5 days now, just a little over 1,200 rounds. No, that's not a high round count. No, that doesn't make me a subject expert. And again, this is a sample size of 1, as I haven't shot other X Compacts. This is merely one man's opinion of one handgun. Ammo used for that 1,200 rounds has all been reloads from here at home, with 147 grain projectiles, Hodgdon tight group powder, mixed brass and CCI primers. There's nothing special about the ammunition, but it all went bang. Speaking of the ammunition, no malfunctions, no stoppages, but again, I wouldn't expect any with a modern striker-fired handgun. Again, there was no cleaning during that 1,200 rounds, only slip 2,000 in between sessions. Let's talk about some pros and cons. We'll start with the pro list. One of the first things that I noticed and really appreciated are these SIG X-Ray 3 night sights. I really like this green outline. It draws my eye to it. I like the fact that the sights are metal, and the tritium inserts allow for nighttime or low light use. To get that out of the box, I think that's a pro. The next pro for me is this ambidextrous slide release or slide stop. I'm a right-handed shooter and I shoot primarily right-handed, but I do practice with my left hand. To be able to manipulate that slide with either hand, using that, I like that. That's a pro for me out of the box. The next pro I had listed was the flat trigger. I'm a fan of flat triggers. I like how they break. I like multiple things about them, but won't get into that too much. But this is a great trigger. With my Lyman digital gauge, after these 1,200 rounds, I measured it, and I didn't measure it beforehand. But afterwards, I had 4 pounds, 6.1 ounces, and that was on a 5-pull average. And again, those can vary, just depends on where you place that on the trigger. But that's what I came up with. Another pro is a comfortable grip. For me, this X Compact grip is super comfy. I liked shooting this. It was comfortable in hand. Comparing it to the X Carry, for me, the X Compact was more comfortable. Again, the grip circumference is smaller on this X Compact. I have smaller hands. I wear a size medium glove. The X Carry was not as comfortable for me to shoot extended sessions. I did some extended sessions with this. At the end of that, my hand wasn't achy, wasn't sore. I really like the grip, so that was a pro I'd listed. Next, let's talk about some cons. First, I would list price as a con. This handgun retails for roughly $680. Depends on your location, depends on your store's inventory. I realize that number is subject to change with time, but roughly $680. For some, that's going to be outside of their budget. For others, it's going to be outside what they're willing to spend on a handgun. And yet others still may find value in some of the features that I previously talked about and find that to meet their needs or within their budget or constraints. Ultimately, that's a decision you'll have to make and decide what your budget is, what your needs are, and so forth. The next con I would list is availability. Here in the middle of April, at least in my region, these handguns were a little sparse. I went to one of the major SIG dealers in the area. He wasn't getting a lot of information from SIG as far as when he was going to get his shipment, how many he would have, what the price point would be. So for some, availability will be a con. I ended up finding this on a gun broker listing, but that I listed as a con. The next con will be the magazines. Again, you're going to get two 15-round magazines. These are good magazines. There's nothing special about them. They are the P320 15-round magazines, but they are the second generation magazine, so they have the square notch on the bottom of the base plate there. The Gen 1 or the previous version with the circular notch on the bottom of the base plate. Those magazines have a different lip here, and they are not compatible with the X Series grip. But the current production magazines and current production 320 magazines that come with those 320s will work just fine. But for those of you that don't already have a 320 or don't have magazines, the price to buy additional magazines, I listed that as a con. These SIG metal magazines are a little bit more money than, say, Glock or M&P, but I listed that as a con. The last con was the optic plate, the sight plate, however you want to refer to that. there is a little bit of a marriage there as far as what optics you can use or utilize with this slide. That again was the Loophole Delta Point Pro. I believe it's also compatible with some new offerings that SIG is yet to release. There's a Romeo 1 Pro, there's a Romeo 2. Those sound like improvements over the Romeo 1 that I have experience with and didn't have great luck with, but I'm told that there's some more ruggedized features as far as a beefy protection hood and possibly a rear sight incorporated into that. There was a link on one of my previous videos someone had posted through Recoil Magazine. You can check that out. But I believe there's going to be some new SIG optics. Those could prove to be worthy optics, but for right now, I just don't know. The Loophole Delta Point Pro, I've heard good things about it. I just personally don't have much experience. Mine has been with the RMR, both the Type 1 and the Type 2. But I listed that as a con where there is some marriage or some limitedness as far as what optics that you can use. Bottom line, I like this handgun. I like it quite a bit. I'll just go on a tangent here for just a moment and tell you I'm not a SIG fanboy. So if you looked in my safe, you'd find more Glocks, you'd find more Smith & Wesson M&Ps than you would SIG Sauer products. So I'm not a SIG fanboy. I've sent 2 P320s back for the voluntary upgrade. I sent a 320 compact back when the front sight fell out. And I can tell you that this front sight is in there. I did put my Maryland Gunworks sight pusher on that yesterday just to check and make sure that this guy is good to go. It's not going to move or hasn't moved yet. But the 320 RX compact one I had to send back because the front sight fell out of it. So I'm not a SIG fanboy, but I do like this particular product. It's been reliable. The magazine assortment that I had for testing, I had enough magazines that I loaded up 254 rounds at a time. And I did one 254 burn down, basically, where I just magazine after magazine as quick as I could dump a mag, throw a new mag in kind of deal. And it was flawless. It got very hot. The trigger itself was warm. It was not fun to shoot without gloves on. I didn't realize how hot, how quick it would get, but again, it was reliable, no issues. You know, I've enjoyed shooting it. It's been comfortable in hand. It's been one of those that I can shoot extended and not have issues. The 365, if I had extended sessions with it, my hand would hurt a little bit, but this is obviously a different category because it's a different size. But I would use this. So far, I'm going to continue to shoot it. I'm going to clean it up. I'll probably run my carry ammunition through it, and if it gets through that, which I suspect it will, I'll clean it again and find a holster for it and start carrying it. So that's my impression. Again, I'm sitting at 1,200 rounds. I realize that's not a high round count, but I'm working through it. I'm not an expert. Don't claim to be. But those are my findings and kind of what I've come up with the limited time that I've had with it. But so far, I've been real happy. I'll probably, like I said, maybe do a few things, but we'll keep shooting it. So at this point, I could recommend it. I feel confident, at least in the one that I've had, and it wasn't handpicked by SIG. It wasn't sent to me, so I don't have any reason to believe you'd get one that was any different. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Hope you found some value in this, and keep shooting. Just real quick, I did get some viewer requests for this compact or carry length slide on this P320X compact. So that's what that's going to look like for those of you that were asking for that. You can see that the slide does extend a little beyond the grip modular frame. But I did run it in this configuration, 4 or 5, maybe 6 magazines through it. No issues, no malfunctions. But for those of you that ask, that's what that setup looks like. It does run, it does fit, it does function. And then last, I have a SIG P320 subcompact slide. And that's what that's going to look like on there. Those fit, function the same. So that may be an option. You know, why would someone run this slide over what it comes with, the X Compact slide? That would be something I considered is if I was going to mill this slide or have this slide milled for an RMR, that keep this slide, it's already set up for the SIG optics, but I could actually run an RMR if I wanted to. But that's what those options look like.